I am Dr. Shaista Imad, Assistant Professor in the Department of Biochemistry. Today, the topic of our lecture is about the phenylalanine and tyrosine metabolism and their related disorders. Learning objective: by the end of the lecture, students should be able to know about the metabolism of phenylalanine and tyrosine and their related disorders. Now let's discuss something about these two amino acids. These two amino acids are structurally related aromatic amino acids. We all know very well that there are three aromatic amino acids in the classification of amino acids, and those are tryptophan, phenylalanine, and tyrosine. Among these three aromatic amino acids, phenylalanine and tryptophan, they are considered as essential amino acids, whereas tyrosine is non-essential amino acid. Besides the incorporation of phenylalanine into various functional protein in the body, the only function of phenylalanine is to get converted into tyrosine, and from the tyrosine the body will get various type of specialized product in the form of various hormones as well as in the form of various neurotransmitters. Ingestion of tyrosine can reduce the dietary requirement of phenylalanine in the body. This phenomena is generally referred to as sparing action of tyrosine on phenylalanine. You can see over here the structure of these two amino acids. Both of these amino acids, as they are aromatic amino acids, they contain benzene ring in their structure. They are structurally related compounds. The only difference in their structure is the presence of hydroxyl group in case of tyrosine at para position. Metabolism of phenylalanine and tyrosine will give rise to various proteins in the body, and besides the formation of various functional protein, it will give rise to various specialized products. The predominant metabolism of phenylalanine occurs through tyrosine. Now this tyrosine can be incorporated into protein, or it is involved in the synthesis of variety of biologically active compounds. Those biologically active compounds can be various hormones like thyroid hormone, norepinephrine and epinephrine, dopamine, an important neurotransmitter which is widely distributed in the central nervous system, as well as we can have melanin pigment which is responsible for the color of skin, hair and eye. Both phenylalanine and tyrosine, they can also lead to the synthesis of glucose and fats. That is why they are considered as both glucogenic and ketogenic amino acids. They can lead to the synthesis of glucose via various intermediate. One of them is the fumarate. This fumarate, via the process of gluconeogenesis, can give rise to a molecule of glucose, or it can enter into the TCA cycle because it is one of the intermediate of this cycle. And they are also ketogenic amino acids, so they can enter into the fatty acids or lipid metabolism and give rise to the synthesis of fats and lipids. One of the intermediate of the fat or lipid metabolism is the acetoacetate. So they are considered as the glucogenic and ketogenic amino acids. They have the important role in the body for the synthesis of such type of biomolecules in the body. Now students, we are going to discuss about the metabolism of phenylalanine and tyrosine. The pathway is a single pathway from where the phenylalanine gets converted into tyrosine, and tyrosine will get converted into various intermediate products. We will discuss each of these steps involved in its metabolism along with the enzymes and the coenzymes and the cofactor which are involved in this metabolic pathway. First step of the metabolism of phenylalanine is its conversion into tyrosine. So, the degradation of phenylalanine mostly occurs through tyrosine. Phenylalanine is hydroxylated at para position. This is a para position. So this phenylalanine is hydroxylated with the help of an enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. And this hydroxylation mostly occur at which position of the aromatic ring? At the para position of the aromatic ring, and it will lead to the formation of tyrosine. This reaction is irreversible and it requires specific coenzyme which is biopterin, and this biopterin is structurally related to folate. Active form of biopterin which is involved in the reaction is the tetrahydrobiopterin. This is tetrahydrobiopterin which is required by this enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. This tetrahydrobiopterin is oxidized to dihydrobiopterin. In this step, tetrahydrobiopterin is again regenerated by NADH dependent enzyme which is known as dihydrobiopterin reductase. Now this phenylalanine hydroxylase will convert phenylalanine into tyrosine with the help of reducing enzymes and the coenzyme tetrahydrobiopterin. Mostly this enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase, it is present in the liver. So if there is the absence of this enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase, what is going to happen? This phenylalanine will not get converted into this amino acid tyrosine, and there will be the accumulation of phenylalanine and it will lead to a disease condition which is known as phenylketonuria. Now we have tyrosine which is hydroxylated from phenylalanine at para position. In the conversion of phenylalanine to tyrosine, what is basically occurring? Incorporation of one atom of molecular oxygen into para position of phenylalanine, while the other atom of oxygen is reduced to form water molecule, and this tetrahydrobiopterin supplies reducing equivalent throughout the process again and again because it is regenerated. Now in the second step, tyrosine will get converted into para hydroxy phenyl pyruvate, and it also occurs in the liver. Tyrosine first undergoes transamination to para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate, and this reaction is catalyzed by an enzyme which is known as tyrosine aminotransferase. This tyrosine aminotransferase will transfer the amino group to the tyrosine, and it will get converted into para hydroxy phenyl pyruvate. Now, this enzyme, which is tyrosine aminotransferase, it is PLP dependent enzyme. For its activity, it requires the pyridoxal phosphate, which is coming from the vitamin B6 pyridoxine. Here, if there is an absence of enzyme tyrosine aminotransferase, there will be the accumulation of tyrosine and it will lead to tyrosinemia too. And it will not get converted into para-hydroxy phenyl pyruvate. Now this para-hydroxy phenyl pyruvate, it will get converted into homogentisate. Para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate hydroxylase is an enzyme, or dioxygenase is an enzyme which is a copper containing enzyme responsible to convert para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate to homogentisate. It basically catalyzes oxidative decarboxylation as well as hydroxylation of phenyl ring of para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate to produce another intermediate of the pathway which is known as homogentisate. You can see that there is another hydroxylation. So this is a dioxygenase enzyme. It will do hydroxylation as well as oxidative decarboxylation both of para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate. So the oxidative decarboxylation as well as the hydroxylation of the aromatic ring of the para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate will give rise to homogentisate. Now another enzyme, homogentisate 1,2-dioxygenase, which is an iron metalloprotein. It basically cleaves this aromatic ring of the homogentisate to form 4-mallyl acetoacetate. You can see that now the ring structure is cleaved or it is opened to form an aliphatic structure and becomes mallyl acetoacetate or simply 4-mallyl acetoacetate, and this is occur with the help of an enzyme homogentisate 1,2-dioxygenase. Molecular oxygen is required for the reaction to break the ring structure. You can see over here that molecular oxygen is required in this reaction to break this aromatic ring of homogentisate and give rise to aliphatic ring structure and becomes mallyl acetoacetate. Now the ring structure is open and we have mallyl acetoacetate. Now this mallyl acetoacetate undergoes isomerization to form fumaryl acetoacetate. It is a very simple reaction where the isomerization take place. Mallyl acetoacetate becomes fumaryl acetoacetate. With the help of an enzyme, mallyl acetoacetate isomerase. Now this fumaryl acetoacetate, which is isomerized from mallyl acetoacetate, brings about the hydrolysis of fumaryl acetoacetate to liberate two products. One of them is the fumarate, another one is the acetoacetate, and this is done with the help of an enzyme fumaryl acetoacetate. This is an enzyme that cleaves this fumaryl acetoacetate into two products. One of them is the fumarate and another one is the acetoacetate, and this is simply what is it is these are the two intermediates, these are the two products which are from the fumarate acetoacetate. In these two products, fumarate is an intermediate of the TCA cycle or the citric acid cycle, and it can serve as a precursor for the gluconeogenesis. So this is the intermediate which is a fumarate. This can enter into the TCA cycle, or it can give rise to glucose via the process of gluconeogenesis. So in this way, it acts as a glucogenic amino acid, yani means degradation of the phenylalanine up to the formation of fumarate. For the synthesis of glucose, it will give rise to or behave as a glucogenic acid. The second intermediate which is formed after the cleavage of this fumaryl acetoacetate is the acetoacetate. This acetoacetate is a ketone body from which fat can be synthesized. So phenylalanine and tyrosine over here can act both as glucogenic as well as ketogenic amino acid. So this is a very simple metabolic reaction that occurs with the help of several enzymes, and that enzymes will finally give rise to two types of product, both as ketogenic and glucogenic. For your convenience, you can go through individual steps from where the phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine with the help of an enzyme, phenylalanine hydroxylase. This enzyme requires tetrahydrobiopterin, which is similar or related to folate, and it is regenerated again in the presence of an enzyme dihydrobiopterin reductase, which requires NADP. So this is the first step of the pathway. And in the second step, tyrosine become para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate with the help of an enzyme tyrosine transaminase. In the third step, as we have discussed earlier, that this para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate undergo two types of reaction. One is the hydroxylation, another one is the oxidative decarboxylation with the help of para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate dioxygenase enzyme and give rise to homogentisate. And this homogentisate with the help of another enzyme, homogentisate oxidate, will give rise to 4-malonyl acetoacetate. Up to these steps, the structure or the intermediates contain ring in them, aromatic ring in them. Now there will be the cleavage of the ring structure, that is the 4-malonyl acetoacetate is cleaved to form 4-fumaryl acetate. Means in this structure 4-malonyl acetate is converted into 4-fumaryl acetate, and the cleavage of this fumaryl acetoacetate, there is no ring structure in it. Further, this 4-fumaryl acetoacetate will bring about two important intermediates for the synthesis of glucose as well as for the synthesis of lipids or fats in the form of fumarate and acetoacetate. Fumarate can enter into the TCA cycle, or it can form glucose via the process of gluconeogenesis, and this acetoacetate can further break down into acetyl coenzyme, and this acetyl coenzyme enter into the fatty acid metabolism to give rise to the synthesis of various lipids or fats. So this is the actual metabolism of phenylalanine up to the formation of two most prominent intermediate, that is the fumarate and acetoacetate, which we have discussed in detail. These are the steps which are involved in the metabolism of phenylalanine and tyrosine. isomerization, cleavage of the benzene ring, and up to the formation of fumarate and acetoacetate. Now we are going to discuss about the defects and errors of phenylalanine and tyrosine metabolism and their related disease condition. Phenylalanine, if the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase is not present, it is defective, then there will be the accumulation of phenylalanine and we will have a disease condition which is known as phenylketonuria. If there is the absence of an enzyme tyrosine transaminase, then there will be the accumulation of tyrosine and a condition is known as tyrosinemia type 2. If tyrosine is unable to convert into para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate due to the deficiency of an enzyme para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate dioxygenase, then there will be the neonatal tyrosinemia. If there will be the accumulation of homogentisate due to the enzyme defect, then there will be a disease condition which is known as alkaptonuria. Similarly, malonyl acetate will isomerize into 4-fumaryl acetoacetate, and if there will be the deficiency of an enzyme fumaryl acetoacetate hydrolase that converts the 4-fumaryl or it breaks the 4-fumaryl acetoacetate into two intermediate which is fumarate and acetoacetate. If this enzyme is deficient, then there will be the accumulation of 4-fumaryl acetoacetate and the disease will occur which is known as tyrosinemia type 1. Let's discuss each of the disease condition in detail. Phenylketonuria, commonly known as PKU, it is the most common metabolic inborn error of metabolism. Again, it is a genetic trait disease, that is the autosomal recessive defect. The ratio of this disease condition is approximately 1:10,000 incidences in newborns. Mostly the enzyme which is deficient in PKU is phenylalanine hydroxylase. It can also occur due to the defect in the dihydrobiopterin reductase, which is responsible to regenerate the tetrahydrobiopterin by the use of NADP, but this is relatively less in this disease condition. Major defect is in the enzyme, that is the phenylalanine hydroxylase. So the net outcome there is the increased concentration of phenylalanine in the blood. This is the first step where the phenylalanine is going to be converted into tyrosine. If the enzyme is not available, it will not get converted further and it is accumulated in the blood. Metabolic defects in phenylketonuria is that due to the defect in the enzyme, it will not get converted into tyrosine. If it does not get converted into tyrosine, the further specialized products which are formed after the degradation of tyrosine will not form, like various hormones and the neurotransmitters. So, if phenylalanine will not get converted into tyrosine due to the deficiency of an enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase, the pathway will divert it to form some other type of intermediate. Likewise, phenylpyruvate and phenylpyruvate will get converted into phenyl acetate and phenyl lactate. So there will be the generation of the acidic environment in the blood. Lactic acidosis will occur in the form of phenyl lactate. So phenylalanine will get diverted up to for the formation of some other pathways or some other intermediate. Actually, it should get converted into tyrosine, but due to the deficiency of this enzyme, tyrosine is not going to be formed and it will lead to the phenylketonuria. The disease acquired its name from the high level of keto acids, phenylpyruvate, in the urine. That is the diversion of the phenylalanine. So it gets diverted to form the keto acid and the phenylpyruvate in the urine. Phenylpyruvate further converted into some other type of metabolite like phenyl lactate, phenyl acetylglutamine. All these compounds are readily excreted via the urine. More specifically, the presence of phenyl acetate in the urine is an indicator of this type of disease condition, that is the phenylketonuria, because it produces a muzzy smell or muzzy odor. Muzzy smell or muzzy odor is basically a mold type of odor, mold species, exactly that smell arise in the urine, that give rise or indicate that the person is having phenylketonuria. This is due to the increased excretion of this metabolite, that is the phenyl acetate, and this phenyl acetate is formed when the phenylalanine is diverted for the formation of different types of metabolites in the body rather than its conversion into tyrosine. Clinical features of phenylketonuria includes mental retardation, some locomotor failures like inability to walk, some speech problems, inability to talk, failure to grow. Some seizure condition will also arise in severe forms. The person or the children who are having phenylketonuria and the individual who are having phenylketonuria, they are having very low IQ, below 15. Plus some other type of symptoms arises like hypopigmentation. Why hypopigmentation occur? Because tyrosine is not formed, and if the tyrosine is not formed, then later on other specialized product will not form like melanin, which is responsible for the color of the skin, for the color of the hairs, for the color of the eyes. So in those individuals, normally light skin color, fair hairs and blue eyes are generally seen. Phenylketonuria treatment, mostly we need to reduce the dietary intake of phenylalanine, so to get adjusted the levels of phenylalanine in the plasma. Maintenance of when the plasma phenylalanine concentration is the first line of treatment, and normally it is a very challenging task for the treatment of this disease. So the only strategy is to select such type of foods that are very low in phenylalanine content. It is very difficult to choose such type of diet that contains low phenylalanine content. We normally our diet comprised of approximately all type of amino acid in them, more or less quantities. The restriction to protein diet should be continued for many more years in life. So it is very difficult to just to eliminate the phenylalanine in the diet. So altogether, the restriction which is made for those individual is to restrict the protein intake. If the protein intake is restricted, the body will not get enough amount of phenylalanine, so the levels of phenylalanine will get adjusted in this condition, which is the phenylketonuria. Another disease condition which is associated with the inborn error of metabolism of phenylalanine and tyrosine is the tyrosinemia type 2. Other name of this disease is the Hanhart syndrome. Again, it is autosomal recessive defect. The ratio is 1 is to 250,000 individual. So it is also considered as a rare disease. Enzyme defect, as we have seen earlier, that tyrosine transaminase is the defective enzyme. So tyrosine will not further get converted into other metabolites. So accumulation and excretion of tyrosine will be increased in tyrosinemia type 2. Clinical feature of this disease is skin lesions. Rarely mental retardation occur, plus there will be the lesions in the eye, mostly in the retina of the eye occur in the tyrosinemia type 2. Another disease condition is the alkaptonuria, which is associated with black urine. Urine on standing will get dark black in color. Again, it is autosomal recessive defect, and its incidence or the occurrence is 1 is to 225,000 individual. Enzyme which is defective in alkaptonuria is homogentisate oxidase. If this enzyme is deficient, homogentisate accumulate in various tissues of the body, blood, and ultimately it is excreted out in the urine in higher amount, that is homogentisate. Alkaptonuria has great historical importance. Garrod conceived the idea of inborn error of metabolism from his observations on alkaptonuria. He observed that urine get black on standing. This is due to the accumulation of the metabolite homogentisate, which is present in excessive amount in the urine. So after that, the disease was identified as alkaptonuria due to the defect in the enzyme, that is the homogentisate oxidase. So the clinical feature of this alkaptonuria, it is more or less same to that of the tyrosinemia too. That it lesions of the eye will occur, lesion in the air will occur, and the urine on standing, it will get converted from the normal pale yellow color to dark black in color. This is a very good indicator in the identification or the diagnosis of the alkaptonuria. Change in color of the urine on standing to brown or dark black has been the simple traditional method to identify this disease. Urine gives a positive test when react with ferric chloride and silver nitrate solutions. Another method to investigate or to identify is just to simply react the urine with this ferric chloride and silver nitrate reaction. The color of the urine will turn into dark brown or black in color, or simply on standing urine for some time, it or itself get oxidized into dark black or brown color. This is due to the presence of the intermediate homogentisate in the urine. Another disease condition is the tyrosinemia type 1. In acute tyrosinosis, the infant exhibit severe diarrheal condition accompanied with vomiting, and that vomiting will have cabbage-like odor. In tyrosinemia type 1, death may occur even due to the liver failure within 1 year time period. So, the survival rate in tyrosinemia type 1 is very less. Treatment for this disease is diet should low in tyrosine, phenylalanine, and methionine. These are the amino acids that are recommended not to take in case of tyrosinemia type 1, and it is a rare disorder. Fatality rate is high because the child or infant will not survive for a longer period of time. Now student, we are going to discuss about the biologically important compound which are derived from the amino acid tyrosine. Tyrosine not only further metabolize into various intermediate, that intermediate are the part of lipid and carbohydrate metabolism. Plus, it is also serve as a precursor for the synthesis of various biologically active neurotransmitters and various hormones like catecholamines, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine, thyroid hormone that is T3 and T4, triiodothyronine, and thyroxine that is tetraiodothyronine. And we have the melanin pigment. All these hormones and neurotransmitters requires tyrosine for their synthesis. Synthesis of tyrosine from the catecholamines from the tyrosine is tyrosine will get converted with the help of an enzyme tyrosine hydroxylase into dopa. Dopa decarboxylase, that dopa is basically 3,4-dihydroxyphenylalanine, which further decarboxylated into dopamine, which is one of the important neurotransmitter in the central nervous system, and the deficiency of this important neurotransmitter is related to various neurodegenerative diseases, and one of the important neurodegenerative disease is the Parkinson disease. So low level of dopamine will lead to an important neurodegenerative disorder or disease, which is the Parkinson disease. Now this dopamine, with the help of an enzyme dopamine beta hydroxylase, will get converted into norepinephrine, and norepinephrine subsequently form epinephrine. So these are the catecholamines. They are regarded as the catecholamine. Norepinephrine, epinephrine, they are also acting as a neurotransmitter in the brain, as well as they are acting as a hormone. Function of catecholamine: both epinephrine and norepinephrine regulate carbohydrates and lipid metabolism. They also stimulate the degradation of various triacylglycerols and glycogen molecules. They are also involved in the regulation of the blood pressure. Dopamine, norepinephrine act as a neurotransmitter in the brain and autonomous nervous system. We have discussed that tyrosine is also required for the synthesis of thyroid hormone. If tyrosine is not available, this T3 and T4 is not formed. So thyroglobulin is a large protein molecule where these tyrosine residues are condensed for the synthesis of the important thyroid hormone, that is the T3 and T4. Melanin pigment, another important hormone which is synthesized from the tyrosine. We have different types of melanin which are synthesized from the precursor molecule tyrosine: red melanin, black melanin. So we can say that tyrosine is an important precursor molecule for the synthesis of this melanin pigment. And if the tyrosine is not available, there will be the decreased synthesis of the melanin pigment and will lead to some sort of disease condition. So melanin is basically a color pigment. Skin color of the individual is determined by the relative concentration of black and red melanins, which are synthesized from the precursor molecule tyrosine. And the synthesis of this melanin also depend upon many other factors like the genetic and the environmental factor. If the activity of tyrosinase enzyme is low, the density of the melanocytes which are responsible for the synthesis of the melanin, these are the cells, or the availability of tyrosine is not there, then melanin synthesis will suffer and the person will have some sort of defect or inborn error of metabolism, that is the albinism. In case of albinism, which is a congenital disorder, and it is characterized by the complete or partial absence of melanin in the skin, hair, and eyes, and this albinism is mainly due to the defect of tyrosinase enzyme, which is the main enzyme responsible for the production of melanin. Those individuals who have congenital defect of this enzyme, they have what type of symptoms? They normally have very light colors of skin, hairs, eyes, and overall body. Mostly they results in the pale blue, light brown, or red eyes. You have seen many individuals who are the sufferer of this disease, that is the albinism. This is due to the low synthesis or no synthesis of the melanin pigment due to the inavailability of the enzyme tyrosinase, and this tyrosinase enzyme is the inborn error metabolism, congenital defect. It cannot be rectified, so this disease normally it is not treatable. It can last throughout the life. So we have discussed the phenylalanine and tyrosine metabolism in detail in today's lecture along with their various disorders or congenital disorders. Thank you.